A blessed day to everyone. Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. And in this message, it's titled, Your Leaders Have Lost Their Way. They truly have. So you need to take your health back into your own hands. There are other things you need to take back, but among the critical ones right now is your health. In order to understand what's going on around you with your health and all the other things that affect your life, you have to understand the forces that are on this planet that's governing your life. There are two forces, a force of darkness, a force of light. Right now, the force of darkness is at its final stage of ruling, and they're not letting go as easily as they should to let the forces of light come in. So we'll spend some time giving you an example of who's running your world right now. Each structure is always in a pyramid of power. Top, there's one at the top, there's one on the right, there's one on the left, one on the right, what we would call the masculine energy. The one on the left is called the feminine energy. So the forces of darkness that's running our planet right now, they're called the dragon, Dagon, Draco, the Alpha Draconians. We refer to them as serpent in the Bible. Oftentimes they're called the reptilian because they're actually a reptilian race from Alpha Draconian. They are co-governed with the devil. The devil is a fallen angel that has been kicked back to a lower dimension to work off all the wrong that he had done while he was in a higher dimension. You sort of get expelled, and they push him back down to a lower version, a lower dimension, to correct his ways, find his way back up, which he hasn't quite done as yet. He's still behaving bad in the third, fourth dimension, not trying to find his way back to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. On the feminine energy side, they're called the hybrids, the Philistines, the ungodly, the Pope, the Church, the papacy, the Vatican. And what they have done, they sort of carry out, they're the persons, the bodies that carry out the will of Dagon and the devil. So they take whatever command that have been made by the other two that's on the pyramid, and they execute it to push it down into the old earth. I say old earth because that earth is now going away. The time for it, which started the end, is the year 2000, started the end of this old world. So we're in a transitional period now where we're moving to the new earth, where the forces of light are going to come in. But now, in order for the forces of light to come in, the forces of darkness has to be expelled. They're not going to go out quite willingly. So staying with the forces of darkness, on the old earth, we have entities that are doing the work of what the hybrids are pushing down. And when they're doing that work, forming their own rules as to what God rules are, that's what you call Satan. Satan is man's interpretation of the Most High's rules that are not really of the Most High's rule. It's his own interpretation, which is oftentimes way beyond what the Most High wants it to be, and more to his own rule, man's own rule and interpretation of the Most High's law. The Most High main laws are 12 laws, 5 divine, 7 hermetic principles, and 2 statutes. Those are the Most High's laws. Man makes up their own. You're going through some of man-made laws right now, which we'll cover. And with Satan, we have the world leaders that are governed under that satanic man's way of doing things. And then next to the world leaders, we have the big corporation, because the big corporations are the ones with the economic wealth that are governing and controlling world leaders. In the Bible, the big corporations are referred to in an allegory term as Goliath, where David hit the giant Goliath with the stone in his forehead. Forehead, it's covering part of the 5 divine laws of God, which is the body itself, the head, the right hand, that's the political hand, the left hand, that's the social hand, the feet, that's the economics, and the center, the chest area, which connects all, That's called the diet and appetite, which we're going to focus on. That's the food and health. If you control a person's health, you control the other 5 of that divine law. The food is the key because it connects all 5. So that's why the health is most important, and that's what we're going to cover in this message. Let's look at now the forces of light. That's the Most High at the top. The Most High's angelic name is Allah. In the Bible, you see E-L-I. It's not Eli. It's an ancient Hebrew word that's pronounced in the ancient Hebrew tongue, Allah. Then you have Yah. That's the shortening for YHWH. You, him, we, him. If you want to have the ancient Hebrewic interpretation of that, YHWH. That's the Hebrew interpretation of it. And then to interpret the Creator, the Source, Most High. And then the Greek word, which is God. I try not to use the man-made up version of it, God. But that's how you know it as, because you receive the man-made teaching of it. But the others at the top, those are more what the higher esoteric practitioner use to talk about, to describe the Most High. Next to the Most High is the Lord. In the Bible, you've been told deceptively, through lies, that the Lord is Jesus. Jesus is not the Lord. Jesus is a messenger, a Messiah. The Lord is Melchizedek. And also Melchizedek, that's the ancient Hebrewic name of the Lord. The Egyptian name of the Lord is Thoth. Sometimes it's referred to as Tehudi. But Thoth is in the Bible. Wherever you see that, sometimes it's in italics, sometimes it's all caps, so all kind of variation. It's Thoth. They just change the O to an A and remove the H. Next to the Lord is Louis, which in the Bible is referred to as Israel. Israel is a code name for Louis. You see Michael as well. Michael is a code name for Louis. You see Jesus as well. Jesus is a code name for Louis. You see Shiloh, it's a code name for Louis. Son of Man, it's a code name for Louis. Messiah, messenger, it's also code names for Louis. The proper name is Louis. Before there was a J, there was L. The J didn't get created until 1530 something by a Roman Catholic priest. They created the J. But the original letter that starts the messenger's name was Louis. Louis comes, the Son of Man comes, gives a message down to the new earth to wake up the seed of the house of Israel, the house of Louis. That's also referred to as the elects, the saints, the righteous seed. But the Son of Man shall come and send his message to wake them up and to get rid of the message that was told to us by the hybrids, the Philistines, the papacy, the Pope, the Vatican. So the Son of Man has to come and give the true message, which is of light. So essentially, this is a breakdown of evil versus live. And you might say, what are those two there? Evil is the backward spelling of live. So right now, you are going to live if you don't keep holding on to that backward live, which is evil. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get into the reason why we're here. We're going to talk about health. So you have to know who's controlling your health right now, because remember, you control the health, you control the other parts of the body, which are the 5 divine laws, which is also called the cross. If you extend your arms outward, you form a cross. That is the cross, not someone dying on a cross. Again, that's part of the lie that the Philistines church, the Pope, the papacy, Azazel, and Dagon have told you. So we have to strip those lies away and come up with the truth. So let's start with Luke 15, verse 16, which is telling you now, these are prophets initiate warning you of these things that are going to happen. that are going to be put in place by the forces of darkness. And it says, and he is Shem. The story is talking about the two sons of Noah. One is Shem and one is Japheth. Japheth is tied into the forces of darkness, and Shem is tied into the forces of light. So he, Shem, which is also the children, the house of Israel, the house of Lois, would fain, if you look up the meaning of fain, it says willing to, have filled his belly with the husk. Husk is animal meat and flesh, and I'll prove that to you in a minute. That the swine did eat. Who is the swine? The swine are those folks on that pyramid of darkness. The Gentile, the reptilian, the hybrids, and Azazel. They do eat meat. The reptilians, they're meat eaters. They're a hybrid race of reptiles that have, I would say, gained quite a bit of knowledge. They stand upright, they look humanoid, but they have reptilian heads to them. They do eat meat. So that's where that was handed down to us. And no man gave unto him. It's not a man that gave him that food, that husk. A non-human gave it to him. So that's what this is telling you in its own way if you dig into the deeper esoteric meaning of it. And I'll prove to you what husks is or are. We go to the dictionary. Husk, bronchitis in cattle, sheep, or pig caused by parasitic infestation. That's a husk. And that's what gives you a husky cough, because you have bronchitis, a lot of mucus in you after eating cattle, sheep, pig, and chicken, and your fish, and your lobster, and your seafood. That's what you're getting, because the ocean has been infested by what man has been dumping in the ocean. So the bronchitis is there as well. There is no escape. So that's the meaning. That's once you do the deep research into this verse, that's where you're going to end up. That animal flesh is given to you to eat by the hybrids, by the reptilians, by the devil himself, and it's handed to you by the Gentiles. The Gentiles are part of that big corporation, the man, and all the others that are attached to the satanic view of the Most High's laws. Gentiles, in our modern day term, that's called the Caucasian race. When you see it in the Bible, that's what it's referring to. Now let's talk about the big corporations. The big corporations, they control all the pharmaceuticals. That's where you get all your prescription drugs from. That's where you get medicines, your shakes, your this, your that, your protein this and your protein that, and all the supplements that you buy thinking that is helping you, but in fact, it's not helping you. You're really attaching yourself to the dark forces' way of controlling your health so they can control all the other 4 divine laws which govern you day to day. You cannot live a minute of your life without being a part of that 5 divine law. Your head is your moral, your connection to the Most High. Why your head? Because your pineal and your crown are there. That connects you to your higher spiritual consciousness. Your right hand, again, is your political hand, your way to dominate and rule and subdue everything that's around you. It's in Genesis 1, verse 28 and 29. I'm just interpreting it for you. But it says, subdue your environment, that's your right hand. Then multiply, that's your left hand, meaning build a community of spiritual, like-minded people. Then it says, be fruitful, that's the economics. Replenish it, use it and replenish it. That's what it's saying. Everything economics come from the earth. That's your feet. And then Genesis 1, verse 29, it says, your food, your leaf, seeded fruits, and trees shall be for meat. So that's you, your 5 divine law, which is your cross. If you look in Luke, it says, any man which followeth after me shall pick up his cross daily and come after me. And it says first, you have to deny yourself, meaning you now have to get rid of that dark force doctrine and pick up the doctrine of light. Let's get back to pharmaceutical, because this is where the forces of darkness have had you in total control, because you don't know the meaning of pharmaceutical to practice witchcraft or use medicine, but it's not being used for medicine. It's being used to poison you. So the forces of darkness is always going to use the dark option, the evil option. Okay, so if you're looking at it, they're going to practice it, the witchcraft part, definitely, and they're going to do the poison part. The forces of light is going to do the medicine part, but it's not telling you to use pharmaceutical. We'll get to the medicine part of the Most High later on. But this is what your pharmaceutical is. That's what they're doing and practicing with you. Practice means, look at the word practice. It doesn't mean you have a skill set that's beyond question with it. It's saying you're practicing, meaning you're still getting your skills on. You don't know. Not knowing, they're passing on that lack of knowledge in the form of witchcraft, and they're using poison. You make your choice. I'm giving you the information. Do wisely with it. So your health decisions from what the dark forces have given you are based on fear, ignorance, and lies. That's how you've been making your choices. You might say, nah, I'm in full control of my choices. Continue fooling yourself. No, you are not. If you're not producing your own food, running your own country, know who's in your neighborhood and controlling it, and then no one telling you how you should access your higher self, and then you're making your own money. You have your own wealth. Then your decisions are based on the fear, ignorance, and lie, which the dark forces has put out to you to keep you under their control. So let's see the warning that we have gotten, because if I tell you anything, I have to be able to back it up biblically. And this is why I'm pulling you now to 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. For the Most High has not given us the spirit of fear. So if you're afraid of anything, no matter what, you did not get that from the Most High. The Most High give you the other definition of fear. Fear has two meanings. One means to be afraid of, and the other one, when you fear God, it doesn't mean to be afraid of God. It means to respect and to give reverence to the Most High. So in this situation, it's talking about to be afraid of. Did not give you the spirit to be afraid, but power, love, and a sound mind. What is power? Your willpower and your creative power. That's the triangle again. One side of the triangle, the right side, that's the masculine side, which is the willpower. The left side is the creative power. And also coupled with that is love, the divine love. You have to use your power with love, not with hate. And then a sound mind, meaning you can think. Mentally, you are sound. You can think and make wise choices based on no fear, not being afraid. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 tells us that's what the Most High give us. So if you're practicing something else, then you got that from the dark force, no doubt. Most of us are filled with fear. Might think not, but you are filled with fear because you haven't given any thought to the amount of things that you're afraid of. Afraid of losing your work right now. And if you don't take this, you're going to lose your work. How are you going to make more money? How are you going to survive? You got family to do this. This is coming. What am I going to do? War is coming. I don't have food. I can't move. I can't do this. A whole bunch of different stuff. All fear. At the same time, this is partly why you're in fear. Hosea 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You move away from the knowledge of what the Most High has given us. He has given us information. He has given us prophets. Nothing will happen before the Most High give you that warning that it's going to happen. Nothing significant can ever happen to you and this planet without the Most High giving us warning before it happens. But it has been rejected. We reject everything the Most High has given us, told us, warned us, and we went with the way that man has told us, the forces of darkness. He has had his influence to draw you away from the direction of the Most High. So the Most High is going to reject you. You reject the Most High, so you'll be rejected. And that's what it's saying. You have rejected the knowledge. I will also reject my people. He'll reject you for a while. He's coming back for you now, but you were rejected because during that time when you had a choice to make, you chose the dark force. Seeing, you see not, and you have forgotten the laws. The law I'm talking to you about, the 5 divine laws, the cross, which I just described to you, and the 7 hermetic principles of the Most High. I won't get into that on this message. And it didn't just happen to your parent who did it back in the ancient time, but the offspring also had to go through the effects of what the parent had put in place. We went through it for several hundred years. Now the Gentiles who have attached themselves to the dark forces and have led the entire world down this path of no return, now they are the ones who are going to go through these punishments that we have gone through. Fear, lack of knowledge. Now we go to lies. Because I'm telling you someone is lying to you, you're saying this person must be out of his mind. When, again, the Most High and the Most High's initiates and prophets have gave you multiple warnings that you will be lied to, and it told you who you'll be lied to and how you'll be lied to. Revelation 13, verse 14. And it starts out, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth. Whenever you see earth in the Bible, it's talking about America. That's the code word for America in the Bible. Earth. If you see sea, that's Europe. If you see river, it's Asia. So it's talking about America by means of miracles. There are no miracles. It's just laws and science, natural laws and natural science, not understood by you. So because you don't understand it, it's miracle. Your miracle drugs that you've been getting over the years, which culminate now to your miracle vaccine that's trying to be administered to everyone, but that's what was warned to you. Someone is going to lie and try to use these miracles, which they had the power to do. It was a time of darkness. The time of darkness ended in the year 2000. We're transitioning now to the time of light. In the sight of the beast, whenever you see a beast refers to a nation. Who is the nation that's running that pyramid I show you? The Vatican, the papacy, through Christianity. That's why I can interpret these things and give it to you. To them that dwell on the earth. Because if you don't know the coding, you won't know who it's talking about. That they should make an image. What is an image? A sculpture, a drawing, a statue. Remember now, the statute says you shall not worship graven or molten image. So if someone is giving you an image, you are already breaking the Most High's rule. No graven image. So this beast, the Vatican, the papacy, Christianity, is telling you to make an image and worship that image, indirectly making you break the Most High's statute. No graven image, and you shall honor and observe the Sabbath. Those are the 2 statutes. But here, lies tell you to break it. Make an image to the beast, to the Vatican, the Pope, and Christianity, which had wound by a sword. And you read in the story of John 19, verse 34 to 37, it says, white Jesus was pierced in the side with a sword. That's the image that was given to you, a white Jesus on a cross with a pierce in the side. Idol. graven image. So that's the lie, one of the main lie that has been told to you and me. And now we're trying to find our way out of that lie. And it's really hard for a lot of people to let go of white Jesus. Certainly understand. But Jesus isn't white. Jesus is a king of the Jews, king of Israel and the Jews and the real Jews. And real Israel is a code name for Louis, which is a code name for a black person, a dark-skinned person. But this is what was given to us as the warning, which will come our way, and to look out for it. But we have not been looking out for any of those warnings. We allowed the church, which is lying to us, to interpret this for us. But now the time has come where the Most High is raising up his wise men, his prophets, to give the interpretation of what was truly being said, and to wake up as many people who want to be wake up. Can't take your free will. If you decide you want to continue sleeping, go on and sleep as much as you want. But at some point you have to wake up. 2nd Ezra 11:40, another warning. I pulled out this from a pseudepigrapha. It's the missing book of the Bible. It explains more clearly than the Holy Conventional Bible. The Holy Conventional Bible was changed massively by the pyramid of darkness. Remember, they were in power. They controlled everything, every information that was given to you. So they changed it to fit their need. They didn't make as many changes to the pseudepigrapha because those books were hidden. No need to change them. But now they came out before changes were made to them. This is saying the fourth came. The fourth is talking about a fourth beast, a fourth nation, which is the Vatican. There were 3 other nations before the Vatican took power. The fourth is the Vatican papacy. The Catholic Church, Christianity came and overcame all the other nations that were there before it and had power over the world with great fearfulness. The initiates of the Bibles are warning you. So if you think you don't have fear, you must be on another planet, because this beast is ruling with great fearfulness, and you're on this planet at this time, so this applies to you. Your fear was there. Everything you made your decision on had fear in it, no matter which way you look, left, right, up or down. Fear was the root cause of it. You got to get rid of that fear now. And over the world, the entire world and the earth, with much wickedness and oppression. That's how he ruled over America. Wickedness and oppression. The warning is there once you know how to interpret it. And so long of a time dwelt this church ruling over America secretly and quietly. You may think your president is running America, but your president is not. If you look, every president has to kiss the hand of the Pope, and they have a picture of the Pope placed on their desk. Your country, America, is being run by the Roman Catholic Church, who's controlled by Azazel, the devil, and the devil is working for the reptilians, the Draco, the Alpha Draconians. This is what is handed to America, upon America, with what? Deceit. What is deceit? Lies and dishonesty. So you think you're not being lied to? Think again. You think you're not being filled with fear? Think again. This is telling you, who do you rather believe, man or the scriptures that was given to the initiates of the Most High? 2nd Ezra 11 verse 41. For the earth, America, has the church, Azazel, and the reptilian race. Judge, when you see judge, it means to govern and to rule, to have control over with truth. No, it did not. Not judged with truth. Didn't rule with truth. All lies. Warning, warning, warning has been given to us. In addition to all of what I just mentioned, your unbelief in the ways of the Most High takes center stage. You see the words, you hear the words, You don't go study it yourself. You don't go research it yourself. You don't go find out more yourself. You just bypass it. And these are some of the warnings that were given to us that, hey, this is going to happen. We're going to reject what the Most High is giving to you. Job 21:14. Therefore they say unto the Most High, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of the Most High's ways. We don't want that knowledge. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to follow our own interpretation. And then we're going to use man's way, because that's how you've been taught from you are a baby until now, man's way. And I'm going to make decisions based on what I've learned over the years, which are all man's way that were made during the time of the forces of darkness. The forces of darkness is ruling now up until 2021. Their time is dwindling. They have very little time. But everything you know up until this point has been all lies. Now it's time to go into the truth. Second Ezra, again, that's a very important book. If you get a chance, you should read it. A lot of clear and disclosing information. For the Most High strictly commanded those who came into the world when they came what they should do to live. Gave you instructions. And what they should observe to avoid punishment. You have to live by the 12 laws of the Most High and observe the 2 statutes. No graven image, observe and practice the Sabbath. Nevertheless, they were not obedient. Who are they? It's talking about you, us. That's what it's talking about. And spoke against the Most High. You, your parents leading up to you, your forefathers leading up to your time, devised and think up for themselves foolish ideas and thoughts, and plan to themselves wicked things to do. They even declared that the Most High does not exist, and they ignored his ways. They're talking about us. You might think the they referred to someone else. No, it does not. It's talking about you. So you got to take a good look at yourself, because I have taken that look and I decided I need to do something different. It's not talking about some strange persons over there and there. It's talking about you, O children of Louis. You, seed of Louis. You, dark-skinned, melanated people. You are the children of the Most High, the chosen children. So I'm talking to you, and I'm not cutting corners like I'm talking to someone else. I'm coming straight at you. You scorned his laws. You denied the agreement that your forefathers made with the Most High. Your forefathers made an agreement with the Most High that the Most High will be their spiritual creator, their spiritual father, mother, and you, forefathers, and it comes to us at this time, we shall be his servant. We shall serve the Most High's way. And they have been unfaithful, unbeliever. They don't believe a word. Unbeliever to his statutes and not performed his laws and the works and the things the Most High say you should do. Clear as it can be, we have been walking not in the Most High's way. And that's why all the things that are happening now are happening, because in order to move completely out of the darkness time into the time of light, all these things that we have done has to be cleared. Our karma has to be cleared. In order to clear your karma, you have to resolve them. You have to come face to face with all the things that you haven't been doing and say, I'm going to either do them or I'm going to continue not to do them, and you shall meet the results of your decision. If you decide to do, light shall reach you. If you decide not to do, you'll stay in the darkness and perish with those who are of the forces of darkness. Your time for indecisions, being undecided, has ended. You have to make a choice. Whether you're going to continue to serve and follow the forces of darkness, or you're going to move into light and be a part of the forces of light. That's your decision. And it's pointed out in Matthew 6, verse 24. No man or woman can serve two masters. You have been serving two or trying to serve two, but this is what always happened to you when you're serving two. You will hate one, love the other. You will hold one and despise the other. You can't serve two. You cannot serve the Most High and Azazel and the reptilian and the church, the Christian church, at the same time, because they're leading you down a path which is not what the Most High has been telling you. You have to choose. Your choice. No one can take your free will of choosing, even though they're trying to now. The forces of darkness are trying to take your free will and trying to force you to make a choice, but they will always give you an option. They can't truly take your free will because they know and they understand very well the karmic law that you cannot take free will. You give the person tough choices that they feel that they have to make one choice without considering the other. That's how they work the karmic law. Right now, they're trying not to take on that karmic law because they know it has to be solved now. All karmic law has to be resolved now. So make you make choices thinking that you only have one choice. That's how it's being worked. But now the time for that is done. You have to clearly now make a choice in the Most High's way, not in the forces of darkness way. In the Most High wants you to make a decision. It's given to you by the initiate of the Most High. Are you going to go backwards with evil, because that's live spelled backward, or are you going to go forward and live? Your choice, you make it. No one can make it for you. You have to make it yourself. You're going to go backward, E-V-I-L, or you're going to go forward, L-I-V-E. Your choice. Let's start this, because I don't want this to be a very long message, so I'm going to cut it in two parts, basically. But I want to give you this as a starter to your health, because it's a health discussion. And we're going to talk about Daniel 1, verse 8, where we all talk about the Daniel diet and you do it for 30 days. Daniel did not do any diet for 30 days. That's a lie. He only showed the king's assistant for 10 days that this is the way I normally eat. But for 10 days, I'm going to let you observe me. And then after that, I'm going to continue eating the way I eat. He did not do anything for no 30 days, then went back to eating meat. That's a lie as well. So Daniel 1 verse 8, when you read it, you'll pull out the true story. Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's meat. The kings is the president, the leaders of your country who got the meat from the reptilian and the church, the Christian church. And with wine he will not defile himself. No liquor, no meat. That's what Daniel 1 is telling you. No 30-day diet, then you go back to eating meat and drinking liquor. Not a chance. Now the time for foolishness and lies and kind of tiptoeing around issue is done. I have to come to you direct and be truthful to you. Daniel, no meat, no wine coming from the leaders of your nation. That's why I'm telling you the leaders have lost their way because they're being led by the triangle, the pyramid of darkness. But Daniel is telling you he's not going to defile himself with those things. You are Daniel. The story is about you. So you have to get that decision made right now to follow the ways of the Most High and be Daniel. That's a code name for the messenger. Louis is a representative of the people. That is you, the dark-skinned, melanated people in our modern day time, black people. The Most High's ways for your help. I'm not going to go into it right now. I'm going to stop right here, cut this message right here, and in the next message we'll cover this. What is the Most High's way? What is he showing you now for your help. As always, stand strong, be strong, and stay strong in the ways of the Most High.